discuss this further now, we're joined by criminal law expert William Booth. And I was interested, Mr. Booth, to understand what you think as a criminal law expert. I mean, a 10-year-old walking into a court to file a restraining order without their parents. So, what type of understanding would a child that young need to have?
Well, one must consider the issue of capacity. So the Child Justice Act deals with criminal capacity in respect of children. So, a child of 10 on his or her own going and applying for any kind of order against somebody is problematic. Parents have to get involved. And if we're talking about bullying at school, certainly the authorities at the school, teachers or the headmaster, or if there is some other type of guidance counselor at a school, they need to get involved, because can a person of 10 fully understand, what is right and wrong? Can they appreciate, what has got to happen in court? So these are all complex issues. So children are governed by the Children's Act and the Child Justice Act, and obviously the Constitution is applicable because it does deal with rights of children. So, all of those pieces of legislation need to be considered when you look at children as suspects or accused, or children as victims of crime.
And also, Mr. Booth, I'm going to ask you a question that I asked Elijah, the spokesperson of the Basic Education Department. When it comes to a protection order, it stipulates certain meters that an accused must stay away from the complainant. How do you do this at a school?
Well, absolutely. So, protection orders can deal with people who are in relationships, in other words, adults. And that sometimes does become problematic where they are in a relationship or it's a family member, and, imposing conditions with regard to distancing can sometimes be a problem, certainly at school, because you don't want to take anybody out of school and they are all together. So
and that would be infringing on that person's
classroom
rights, possibly, to ask them to leave a school. It's a balancing of it all.
Absolutely. And obviously the parents need to get involved. So one has to go back and look at, why does this happen? Bullying has been a problem for a long time, and has been discussed in schools, and schools themselves, the authorities at the schools, the education departments, people involved with children need to get involved and put together a better plan as to how do we deal and how do we stop this problem. So it's not just children, let's say, bullying against other children. There may be instances of children bullying teachers, or we've heard of cases where children have assaulted teachers, and in fact even worse instances overseas in the United States of America. We've heard of cases where firearms being in the possession of children who are extremely young. So it's kind of a difficult situation, but I think it goes back to home, goes back to parents, how people are brought up. The community has to get involved. Some children come from very, very, let's say, deprived communities where they don't have the facilities and, the circumstances that others from more affluent communities have. So it's something that certainly needs to be debated by all people to try and put a stop to this. Crime in South Africa is getting out of hand and has been so for quite a number of years. So, how do you stop that? And we need to talk and sit down and work out a plan.
All right. Well, thank you very much for speaking to us and for giving us your time. I can see you're still in your robe, so I'm assuming you had to come out during your lunch break. Thank you very much for that. That was William Booth, a criminal law expert, speaking to us there.